guys, this is Carrie. You're watching The Crone's Life. I got my granddaughter sleeping in the other room, so we're going to have a quiet video today. I'd like to do kind of my shout out other creators in YouTube to thank them for how they've influenced me. I've broken this down in how I was influenced or what they taught me and what deck I associate with them. So if I blame them for buying a deck, I'll show that too. I figured that'll be fun to watch while I'm talking because, I could ramble. So to start with, I think I have two honorable mentions, so to speak. I mean, they're definitely creators that definitely influenced me, but they don't, the first one isn't on TarotTube, and the second one doesn't create tarot videos anymore, so they're my honorable mentions. So my first honorable mention is Chevy Rowell at Chevy Rowell Stuff. She is a knitter and she does all things fiber related. So she spins, she knits, she crochets, she just does so many crafty fun things. Oh, she sews too. It's amazing. But I love her channel, because she just put me in a place where I felt comfortable and I felt like I knew her. I have a great time watching her. She inspires me to do all the crafty things. I really like the feeling that I know her without really knowing her. And so in that way, she inspired me to try and let people in to know me in my channel and help people feel like, they're a part of my world, as well as just kind of looking in. But to be genuine in that way, I feel like was what I learned from her. I'm supposed to have a deck for her. It would be Terrible of Mystical Moments, but I didn't buy a deck because of her. I didn't put it out here, but she loves The Labyrinth, and she loves David Bowie and anything with owls. So it all kind of relates, but I don't really have anything that I would blame on her, so I decided not to do that. My second honorable mention is Katie Flowers. She no longer creates tarot content. I really enjoyed her channel. She brought us into a place in TarotTube that I feel like Astral Lady was trying to do recently with Show Me Your Practice. That's what drew me to Katie Flowers in the first place, was that I was able to get an inside look at how she actually uses her tarot, and seeing that my practice really revolves around the same thing hers did with personal development and journaling. I was just totally inspired by her. Now, she inspired me to buy lots of decks because, of course, it was like she would show me everything. So the Star Spinner Tarot was one that I bought because of her. I wanted to just show off the Children of Litha because of her. She did a whole video on the difference between the two decks. There's one that has like metallic edging. I believe it's gold. And then there's this one, and she really liked this one better. It's just black edges. And so I bought this one. But I was charmed by the deck in the first place, and then the fact that Katie showed it on her channel, I just had to have it. But she was such a fun content creator because she could make fun of herself and other people, and you never felt like it was being mean. You just felt like, what a fun, crazy sense of humor, and I love that. I really wish I had a more dynamic personality in that way. But, yep, I've always focused on art journals for myself, like where I could draw something beautiful and then document something written about my day on the same page. But I think what I'm coming to in my journaling is that I have to have one or the other. I'm not very good at putting those two together. even when I have them in the same journal, they take up different space. So the artwork is on one page and the writing is on another. So I guess we'll just have to see how that progresses. So my first official YouTuber, tarot tuber that I'm going to mention, and these aren't in any particular order, but I tried to think of them in chronological order, like the ones that I'd seen first and so on. But Lisa Pepez is one that I watched her, I believe it was I want to say it was the first video, but I'm probably wrong. But I think it was the first video. It was a live video, believe it or not. Whether it was the first one, I'm not sure. But I caught a live, and she was fresh, brand new. She was actually doing readings on her live, just pulling cards for people while she was talking about tarot and telling us kind of her story. And I was so fascinated by this brave woman just talking to the camera, sitting on her bed, and nothing special about her setup. I mean, she wasn't trying, she was just doing. Very Yoda, right? Very Yoda-esque. There is no try, just do. So she impressed me with just how she threw herself out there. I mean, she did a nosedive into the waters of TarotTube, and honestly, I could not have been more impressed. I'm going to give her credit for the This Might Hurt Tarot, even though I have seen a bazillion decks, and I'm sure I've gotten a bazillion decks because of her. I'm so proud that she has her new book out, and Tarot with Training Wheels is something that I've always recommended to new tarot readers. By the way, this is the This Might Hurt Tarot deck by Isabella Rotman. Fantastic deck. I love it. I love everything about it. But her This or That series has been really cool to me. I know I'm not in the right place for this, but I've got my phone just in the right place for my face. So, yeah. And I think she might be one of the most popular tarot tubers out there. I could be wrong, because Ethany is very popular, and the Biddy Tarot channel is really popular. Lisa Pepez, and following her story, moving from America to Canada, and I don't know. I just, again, this in a similar way to Chevy, I just felt like I knew her even though I really didn't know her. So that to me was pretty wonderful. Next tarot tuber was probably truthfully was Dawn Michelle that I watched. And I probably watched more of Dawn Michelle than I did Lisa Pepez, because Dawn Michelle, she used to be Boho Tarot. She absolutely scared the heck out of me whenever she started doing deck mods, and I was, the train wreck. I was just watching to see, is this going to work out? Is this going to be good? How is this going to be? And I watched her modify so many decks. But the Hush Tarot, I blame on her, and the Nicoletta Ciccoli. Now, I was in such a rush to get the Nicoletta Ciccoli after I'd seen it on her channel that I didn't pay attention, and I got the pocket size. So there is no altering this. This is already so tiny. There's no way I could cut it down or change it up. And I really don't want to be honest with you, but that stopped me in my tracks for sure. But Dawn Michelle, she not only cut it down and edged it and everything, she also changed the arrangement of the cards. So she turned some cards into other cards, and I just really felt like that was pretty bold and fearless. So, I have done my fair share of modding, and I'll probably show you guys that sometime with my Dixit card deck, because that one has to be the one that I've done the most to and I'm the happiest with. If I haven't already shown it, then I will definitely do a little blurb on that. But she proved to me that you can do just about anything to a deck to make yourself want to use it. I mean, if you have it and you're not using it, then you're not out anything by messing with it. Unless you think you're just going to sell it, which that's another thing altogether. I personally have noticed that you're going to take a huge hit if you sell your decks, because shipping sucks and nobody really wants to pay for shipping. There's a few that I don't like, and I'm trying to decide what to do with them, but I'm more likely to give them away or mod them than I am to try and sell them, because that is just a whole world of agony. So, Dawn Michelle, she kept me from being scared to death of modding my decks. And, you know, I can remember her saying, if it's the borders, if it's the color of the borders, if it's the color of the edges, if it's the width of the borders, just cut those suckers off. I was like, wow. It felt pretty amazing, though. It really did. I have to admit, the first few mods that I did were just inking the edges of my decks, and that's scary enough. So when I had to trim something down, I was just like, I'm gonna die. Annette from Project Refined Life is my next tarot tuber. Let's see, which one? Oh, she made me want the Deviant Moon. She made me want the Hoodoo Tarot. She made me want, and this one, the Future Ancestors. I'm gonna do this one. Project Refined Life. So Annette is from Gilbert, Arizona, and I got stuck on her channel for so many reasons. Just love the way she talks. I love her voice. I love the calming aspect of her channel. She has a very lovely sense of design, and everything is so pulled together. But I actually grew up not far from her in Chandler, Arizona. So when she said she was living in Gilbert, I was like, oh, I'm gonna watch you forever. She also reminds me that the tarot is not just about learning our inner emotions and dealing with our psyche, but it's also about our body. If we can use the tarot to move our body and be aware of our body and check in on ourselves physically, then we really should do that. And I've been turned on to some of her decks, although I have not been able to purchase them at this point. Not hers like she's made them, but the decks that she just loves. There's a couple of body decks that she has, but she is fun to listen to because she can be very serious, but she can also be very silly, and I do appreciate that that range of personality that she shows. So some people get on the camera and they're just, they're just the one thing that they are, and that's reliable, it's consistent, it's all the things that you can, be super happy with. But I really personally like to feel like I'm seeing a range of a person, not just the persona they have for the camera. So thank you, Annette. The next content creator I want to shout out to is Candy Soul and Soil. She is from England. I have been following her for quite a long time. I did not start out watching a lot of her videos because I felt like there was so much on the internet to watch, and so I would just, every 2 or 3 weeks, I'd check in on what Candy was up to. Let's see, oh yeah. I chose the Stolen Child Tarot, and this is actually a recent addition to my collection, but she has talked about this deck for a long time. I just really, it took me a long time to feel like I needed to go ahead and get it, but she finally convinced me with one of her episodes. So what impressed upon my mind with Candy is that she tells about all of her experiences in the world and how much magic she feels in the things around her. She does not hold back with talking about how trees talk to her and her father's voice in the deck, and where she feels like someone's message is coming through to her. Some people want to hold back their experiences because they worry that they're going to seem like they're crazy or that they're too woo-woo or something like that, but she just tells it like it is. And for me, that gave me a lot of freedom in my mind that there's a group of people out there that are going to look at me and say, own it, just feel what you feel, believe what you believe, and own that, because otherwise you're not being yourself. And who cares what the critics think or the skeptics? They're not part of your world. Your world is the people that believe the same way you do and kind of are open to these kind of experiences that we have. So I really appreciated Candy kind of just giving me permission to believe what I already knew I believed, but to do it on a deeper level and to feel it to my core. So this is the Stolen Child Tarot, and it is by Monica Knighton. I didn't used to think I wanted a fairy deck, and then my granddaughter came along and I realized I always used to believe in fairies when I was a child. I'm opening myself up to fairy work now. The next YouTube creator or content creator that I wanted to shout out to is Maureen at Waves of Your Soul. She's a French tarot reader. She lives on an island called Reunion, and I started watching her channel because she and I were playing the same Switch games at the same time. She was playing Zelda Call of the Wild, that's what it was. So I had that on the Switch, and my husband and I were playing that together, and she was too. So I blame her for the stunning tarot. I know I'd seen it on a lot of people's channels, but of course I just felt like Maureen sold it best, and I always do blame her for this deck. It also took me a while to get it because when I wanted it, it was out of print, or it was in between prints, I should say. I don't think it's ever been out of print. There's limited editions of the backs and the size, the shape, but anyway, I got this one. These are the backs. And let's see, what does Maureen tell me? Oh, well, that's it right there. So Maureen has incorporated all of her favorite things into her channel. She does tarot, she talks about video games, she talks about TV shows, she talks about books that she's reading, she talks about everything that she likes. She even talks about crystals sometimes, and I thought, well, that is really cool and interesting because you think of a tarot channel and you think about people reading cards. You don't think about people talking about their video games. And then it started happening all across TarotTube. Lots of people started talking about video games, and I was like, man, that's crazy, because I thought I was weird. My husband and I have played video games since we met, so that's pretty cool. It made me happy to see all these gamers come out of the woodwork. But I try to do that too. I try to incorporate lots of things in my life that I'm enjoying in my channel, and I do it because of her. I also think that she has shown me that you can say pretty much anything. You can talk about controversial things as long as you make it palatable and you make yourself likable. I am working on being more charismatic. I don't know really where to start, but I'm giving it a shot. Just trying to take pointers from everybody else because I don't think I'm there. But anecdotes help, and maybe I'll get better at that in 2025. So the stunning tarot I blame on Maureen. Thank you, Maureen. The next content creator I'd like to shout out to is Kellyanne Maddox. She has a very witchy channel. I really have not watched a lot of her channel because so much of it is just about witchery. And I love it, but I feel like an outsider when it comes to witchery stuff. I'm just not there yet. I don't know that I'm ever going to be. Don't know that I'm ever going to consider myself a witch in the same respect that other people consider themselves witches. But Kellyanne Maddox is such a dynamic person, and she has shown me that there's really no such thing as too much. The energy that you put into something is the energy that you'll get back. And just like with the trinkets in my house and my decks, the energy that I put into these items, these tools, that's the kind of energy that I'm going to get back from it. And just to skate on thin ice, I received a lot of knockoff decks from my father, and the love that he showed me by giving me these knockoff decks. When it started, I didn't even know that they were knockoffs, and when I did realize that, I didn't have the heart to tell him. So I just decided that I was only going to focus on his gift and what he wanted me to receive, which is joy. And the energy that I put into those decks has come back to me fivefold. I love those decks. They're like my pocket size decks for traveling. They have all kinds of positive, wonderful energy because I put that into them. Not because they're not negative because they came from a bad place or had a bad start. They are positive because of the energy that I deliberately put into them. So the deck that I blame Kellyanne Maddox for is the Mary L. Tarot. And I could not have wanted a better deck. She had to make this list because she recommended, she showed me, she wanted me to buy this. I'm gonna say that. She forced me to buy this. And it couldn't have been a more perfect union. This is my favorite deck. I would own multiple copies. I don't have multiple copies, but I would. If I could get my hands on the first edition, I would have that one along with my second edition. I love this deck so much. I've seen this on a lot of people's channels now. I used to think that it was not very popular for a mass market deck, but that's because I was ignorant, and the more time that I've spent on TarotTube, the more I've seen this deck. It's very out there. I think that the people that like this deck are a wide range of people. They go from being very witchy to being very secular to being very pagan to being very tarot oriented to being very woo-woo to being very not. I mean, that may not have made any sense at all, but I'm just trying to say that there are so many people that love this deck that it's amazing. It's an amazing deck. It definitely brings us all together. In that way, we have this in common. So thank you, Kellyanne. This is wonderful. Just to remind you, these are in no particular order. I just realized I jumped from Dawn Michelle. I'm about to talk about Jenny from A Year and a Day. And I've watched them at two completely different times in my tarot journey. I'm just talking about people who have inspired me and taught me something, because we all need a good teacher. And sometimes it takes a village of teachers. So thank you, village. I appreciate all your contributions. Jenny from A Year and a Day. The first time I watched a video of hers, I was blown away by how much effort she put into her videos. She's so calm and paced and deliberate about things that she shows. And you feel the love that she has for these items, these little things like a pen or a journal or a trinket that she found at a yard sale. What do they call those? A little, get rid of shop. So her collection, her curiosity cabinet, her space, everything about her is very beautiful and calm. And I love that about her videos. So what I wanted to take away from Jenny's videos is that if you just put a little effort into something, it's why I got video editing software, is because I just didn't want it to seem thrown together, even though it seems very thrown together. I'm working on it. Being more deliberate about the image I'm portraying. I'm also trying to be authentic, so those two things may not go together. Sorry. Okay, let's see if I read everything. Put some effort into it. Effort makes a world of difference. This is the truth. When you've taken notes, I need notes. I need prompts. I need a list of things to talk about because I will get off track. So put a little effort into it. It makes a world of difference. Cutting, editing the video so that all the I still do it. I try so hard. So's and just try to take them out and, refine your delivery. Working on it. Thank you, Jenny. That is what I need to learn from you. She made me want, guess what it is? The Outgrow Yourself. I bought this off of Riffle in Time. Cassandra's. Can you tell? I have a terrible memory. Cassandra's website, she does indie decks and does she do mass markets? I don't know. She has a lot of tarot decks on her website, and I was able to pick up quite a few, I think 4 decks, when I did my last bit of shopping. I have another list growing. I'll have to check and see if she carries the ones that I want, but they're spendy. I need to save up for them. But Jenny, from A Year and a Day, likes to work in her garden. She's an outdoorsy, druidy kind of lady, and this is one of her favorite decks. Now, I may have seen it first on her channel, or I may have seen it on someone else's channel, but really, she did the walkthrough that brought it to my attention. I'm pretty sure. I still haven't used it much. It's still in order, but I keep things in order sometimes when I'm trying to get the feel of them and learn more from them. So I do have several decks that are still in order, even though I've used them. But this is the Outgrow Yourself. Basically, the Outgrow Yourself is an oracle and a tarot. So it has the tarot significator at the bottom, and then it has an oracle message at the top. So you can use it any which way you want to. Both. I think that's awesome. I also think it's really cool that this seems to be a Thoth-based deck, which is one of the reasons why I'm keeping it in order also. I want to check and make sure everything makes sense to me in that respect, or if I need to kind of put that hat on where it's part tarot, part Thoth. So, part Rider-Waite-Smith, part Thoth. So, we'll see how this goes. I'm pretty sure that's what I've heard, is that it's a Thoth-based deck. Being an oracle as well is super nice because I love things that have more than one purpose. Hexa at Tarot and Witchery
to be honest with you, the first video I saw of Hexa's, she made it, she just said it like it was nothing, but she said she had over 500 decks, and I thought, that's a lot of decks. I'll never have that many decks. That's crazy. How do you work with that many decks? But now that I've been in like the tarot collecting kind of vibe, I mean, I get it. I did the whole Kickstarter obsession last year. I get it. I totally get how you could have 500. I don't have 500. I'm never telling my secret. My library is mine to keep as a secret. But I can tell you I don't have 500. But she made me feel okay with that. Like, some people do have that many decks, and she wasn't ashamed. She was just saying, this is part of my business. This is what I do. This is this. And matter of fact, it is a library of tarot decks. I was very, very happy to hear somebody so unapologetic about that. There's magic everywhere if we take time to see it. I do not see magic in cynicism or the critical mind or a mean nature, but I believe that we need contrast in our lives to make the magic shine more brightly. I didn't read that very well, but I hope you get what I'm saying. Sometimes you zoom in and you see things very close, like a baby praying mantis. I took pictures of one this last spring. And it's like the whole world is in this tiny little praying mantis. And it's just vast and magic. And then you zoom out and you look at the earth from a cosmic point of view, and it's the size of that praying mantis, that baby praying mantis. And it's so vast. Like, how can we be both? It's magic. I mean, it makes you feel big and small at the same time. Like, how do you do that? But pulling that concept, the keeping one thing in this hand and one thing in the other, you can hold both at the same time. I can be grieving the loss of a family member, and I can be super happy and rejoicing the family that I still have at the same time. We are magical creatures. The cynicism and the mean nature in people, I get it. There's something intoxicating about anger. There's something intoxicating about criticism. You feel bigger and stronger if you have an opinion, if you can break something down and say, this is good and this is bad. And by like pointing out the bad, just makes you feel like, I know something. I get it. I'm learning new things every day. And it's okay. It's okay that I don't know everything. I don't feel bad because I don't know everything. That's me. It's not everybody. I'm outgrown. I have outgrown the gossip. I've outgrown the cynicism. Not the cynicism. I think I still have some cynicism. I've outgrown the critical nature that comes with being a human being. I hope I've outgrown it. I didn't want to edit this. Okay. Hexa at Tarot and Witchery. I've already mentioned that she taught me about how to see magic around me and to trust myself, believe myself when I say to myself, wow, that's like magic. I can really believe myself, that inner person, whether it's a child or whether it's an adolescent or whether it's my inner witch, saying, this feels so magical. I can just say, yeah, you're right. It's magic. And accept it for what it feels like and not be that cynical person and say, well, it's just blah, 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 science, insert physics here. I don't want to be that person who just thwarts every bit of magic with something scientific. Because science is a part of magic. And if you don't believe me, just go study some physics. It's pretty amazing. Or at least I think it is. So, at Tarot and Witchery, Hexa showed us this deck. It's the Golden Art Nouveau. She has the full size, and I saw it, fell in love with it, and said, I want that deck. Well, like with everything else, you make choices, and I didn't buy the full-size deck. It sat in my wish list for ages. And finally, one day, this pocket size came out. Or maybe I just found this pocket size, and I said, oh no, that's it. I gotta have the pocket size. I already had the Nicoletta Ciccoli pocket size, and when I saw this one, I was like, this is it. It's the same size. It's Lo Scarabeo. It's the same box. I'm all about it. I love this deck. I use it all the time. It is good for any kind of reading. For someone else, for myself, summer, winter, fall, spring. It's good for everything. Now, something about this deck that's different than the other one. The other deck has a foil in the background, so you really see that gold pop at you, like glare at you. This one is more of a shimmery flatness of gold. It's still gold. It's just not that bright, chromy type gold, mirrory type gold. This one is much easier on your eyes, and it's still beautiful to me. So look at that High Priestess. Man. Yep. Good call, Hexa. This is an awesome deck. But I did wait for the pocket size. I really like a little deck.
The next creator is Esther at Mindful Tarot. She is a great teacher. She is an inspirational human being. So many people on TarotTube are shaman and are educated in the ways of the mystical world, and she just impresses me with her wisdom. So she made me want the Margaret Peterson tarot. This is a funny story, though. I'll start with my funny story. So I saw this on Esther's channel, and I don't think she has the maroon edged edition. And by the way, mine is messed up. I did that, so don't think I got that. And I've said before that I really like to buy used decks because I hate to see things go to a landfill, or, I hate to see things get produced multiple times, even when there's more out there. I mean, I felt like I needed to buy a used deck, so I did. And I realized that they had these purplish, maroonish edges, and I love that color. I thought that was just what I wanted. So I purchased it. I'm an idiot, and I did not check to see. It's in German. I got the German edition. Even the guidebook is in German. So I use Google Translate for my Spanish decks anyway, so I used it for the German deck, and it's actually really difficult to translate German and make sense of it because this is very poetic, and I have to, give myself some time to wrap my mind around what this is actually saying. So I may be on the lookout for an English guidebook. I don't need an English deck. I get the cards. I need a guidebook that's in my language, so. Okay, Esther has the Drop Bomb 78. I tried to do that. I got sick, and I had to stop because I had no energy. But what she taught me, besides what I tried to learn from her with the drop of 78, what she taught me was that there's strength in finding your own system in learning tarot and learning the mystical. So land spirits are something I was into for a while. I still am. Knowing about land ancestry and plant spirits, just all the energies around us, how we can tap into the unseen, I guess is the best way to put it. She taught me that if I have a system in place and I just keep tweaking it until something is consistent with me, that I can really learn all the things I want to learn. So I did that. I started doing that. I boil, I call them good smellies. I boil herbs and spices in a simmer pot in my kitchen, and I check to see, and I make notes to see if the spirits behave differently around me or the energies are different around me. And I haven't done it in a while, and I'm also checking to see if there's any difference when I haven't done it. Leaving offerings outside, I tried. I did not like that because there really wasn't any difference, and it seemed a bit gross, actually, kind of gross. I sort of had compost, and anyway, yeah, I'm not going to leave offerings outside like that, but I'll continue to do the things that she suggests as far as tweaking the system. And what works will stay, and what doesn't work will go. And I will just keep repeating things until I get it as a routine. And I think that that is probably the most wonderful advice for someone like me who just needs a little encouragement to keep trying. But I'm getting some. I really would love to cover like how things have changed for me since I've started doing these mindful activities. So I also wanted to mention that I did buy the Lonely Dreamer 3rd edition because of her. She wrote the guidebook, and I couldn't not give her credit for me buying the Lonely Dreamer. I just have it put away because I've used it. But the Margaret Peterson was a funny story too, so there's that. Thanks, Esther, for all you do for us.
Kelly at Truth and Story. She taught me about Lenormand. She has classes, and she wants everybody to know it. She wants people to know how to read Lenormand. I specifically went on Kickstarter. This was the first Kickstarter that I did to start off my crazy Kickstarter year. Or maybe it was before this year. I don't remember. I don't remember when I backed this. It might have a date on it. Nope. Okay. This definitely started my Kickstarter obsession, though. This is Rosen, is the artist. I'm going to try to put this up here, but it's gold, so... No name. I thought it had Rosen on there. Oh, it does. It let it go too fast. Rosen. It's right there at the bottom. Can you see it okay? That's the artist. So, I got the Magpie Lenormand and I got the Owl Lenormand in the same Kickstarter. This is the owl, of course. It has, like I have hands all of a sudden, it has rose gold edging, and the artwork is very watercolorish. It wouldn't have mattered which Lenormand deck I got to show you. This one was the first one, so of course I really wanted you to see the first one. but any Lenormand deck I have is because of Kelly at Truth and Story. I have not become proficient at reading Lenormand. There are different deck spreads, there are different spreads that you use for Lenormand if you're going to read it as a Lenormand. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. God, that's so pretty. But I use it as an oracle, and I use the meanings of the cards as Lenormand in my readings. I have not, like I said, I'm not proficient. This is one of my goals for this next year, is to retake that class on Kelly. Yeah, at Kelly's page, Truth and Story. I'm going to go through that series of videos again. She also has a PDF that I have downloaded on my computer, and I plan on following along with that. Hopefully it'll stick this time. Maybe I'll learn something. Gosh, I hope so. What works for me is kind of a little bit of chaos. I'm not a total hot mess, but I'm pretty close. You can kind of tell I've got, I've got bookshelves, so my books are on the shelves and they're in some sort of order. But they're also kind of crazy everywhere. That's how I do things. It's a really neat, orderly system in my house, but in my space, it's a bit of a mess because I like to be able to see what I want to work on. I never put away my drawings. I never put away my gouache or my watercolor. I never put away my decks. Not really. I mean, the ones I've used and I don't want to see them, I put in the cabinet so that I can move things kind of cyclically around. And if I have something in my face, I'm tempted to do it. So if I keep a deck out that I love, like the Marielle Tarot, I will want to use it all the time. So I just push it into another space and I cycle these things around so that I use everything. That system works. The journal system that I came up with last year worked beautifully. I had a sketch on one side and writing on the other that was my tarot spread. This year I'm doing things differently. I'm a little bit sad because I have a separate sketchbook and a separate journal, tarot journal, and that makes it hard for me to do. So I haven't been sketching over this last week. This is when I changed my journal setup. Since the beginning of since January 1st, I haven't done a single sketch. But that's not true. That's not true. I'm trying to finish up one of my journals. So a sketching journal. I have done 3 or 4 sketches, but not in this journaling, sketching journal. Anyway, does it make sense? I don't know. The last thing I wanted to say is everyone that I watch on YouTube shows me that it's difficult to be ourselves. It's difficult to be authentic and to make meaningful content and still keep secrets, to hold enough away to not be cringy. Believe me, I know I'm cringy. I try really hard not to be, but I'm not afraid to share. And I think that turns a lot of people off. It's really okay. It seems odd to say that out loud. But I'm not here to teach you tarot. I'm here to teach myself how to be public worthy. But everybody on YouTube that I watch, Tangy Tarot, who do I watch now? I've got Tarot Magpie, Rose Honey Ritual. We have different opinions. Thea at Garden Goddess. These are people who have a skill of speaking their mind without being cringy or offensive. And that's awesome. I think I would like that for myself. But it does take time, and I am trying hard to learn how to say I'm a slow learner, at least when it comes to incorporating what I've learned into my practice. I can know in my mind I need to do something, but actually doing it and making it a habit is difficult. I also need to stop buying so many decks. So this next year, I will still be influenced by everyone, but hopefully I will not make so many reckless purchases. Hopefully you will not see so many unboxings on my channel. But everyone out there, thank you for creating content. People who don't create content, thank you for coming by. I appreciate you being here to share this journey with me. I'm trying to get better. Forgive me. I'm just a silly person. I think that's what it boils down to. And I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you next time we're here together. Bye.